name is Mike Lee. I have the pleasure of serving as Chief of Staff for the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. Thank you all for coming this morning. I'd like to welcome our speakers, Captain PPD Police Captain James Kearney of the Shooting Investigation Group, ADA Joanne Pescator, the Supervisor of our Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, Kelly Burkhart, one of our very own DAO Victim Support Service team members, and our LGBTQ plus liaison, Kendall Stevens, a member of the DAO's LGBTQ plus advisory committee, and fellow committee member Asa Khalif. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the assigned PPD detectives who worked so diligently to apprehend the fugitive we'll be discussing shortly, as well as other members of the DAO's affinity groups and our Victim Support Services Division. Today, we are announcing that Philadelphia police have arrested a fugitive wanted for 11 months, Joel Martinez, born October 8, 2000, of Camden, New Jersey, who is alleged to have non-fatally shot and brutally assaulted 3 individuals leaving an after-hours spot in the early mornings of June 12, 2022. 2 of the victims were struck by gunfire, and the third was pistol whipped in the face. When Philadelphia police apprehended the defendant, Mr. Martinez, this past Tuesday, Victim Witness Coordinator Kelly Burkhart, who you'll hear from later, notified the complaining witness victims. One of the survivors, a black trans woman who incurred facial injuries as a result of the alleged assault by the defendant, shared a statement with Kelly that she will provide later in the program. But first, I would like to thank and congratulate the Philadelphia police and detectives for their support and trust, for never stopping their work and efforts to bring this defendant into custody over the last 11 months. And with that, I would like to invite to the podium Captain Kearney, the commanding officer of the Shooting Investigation Group of the PPD, to describe the details of this defendant's arrest. Captain.
Good morning, everyone. I have the distinct honor to be the commanding officer of the Shooting Investigations Group. Here with me today is the lieutenant who ran the investigation, Lieutenant Rosenbaum, and one of the assigned detectives, Detective Manis. They were assigned this case on June 12th, 2022 in the 300 block of Westmoreland Street, approximately 4:30 in the morning. 3 individuals were leaving an after-hours establishment. They encountered several individuals. One of those individuals, later identified as Joel Martinez, uttered a derogatory word at one of our victims, which argument ensued, at which time Mr. Martinez withdrew a handgun, fired at least 6 shots, striking 2 of the individuals, one in the left arm, one in the back of the head, and then began to pistol whip the 3rd individual. 25th District responded rather quickly, took the woman who was pistol whipped to Temple, and shortly thereafter the 2 other shooting victims arrived on scene. This case was assigned to Detective Manis and Detective Harron, who investigated it and within 4 days obtained an arrest warrant for Joel Martinez. It was through the quick work and victim cooperation, as well as the public, who gave tips that helped Detectives Manis and Harron solve this case rather quickly. They executed a search warrant, an arrest warrant, and Mr. Martinez quickly became a fugitive. While in fugitive status, he was picked up in Camden, New Jersey in December of 2022, and we extradited him to Philadelphia and effected the arrest this Tuesday on the 16th of May. Through the hard work of those detectives and their supervisors, the Shooting Investigation Group were able to clear this shooting of 2 people and beating of another, and they continue to do that on a daily basis. We do want to stress that this community did rise up. These witnesses and these victims did cooperate. They did assist us in getting this dangerous felon off the street. This now case will be prosecuted through the DA's office. ADA Joanne Pescator is here to go through the prosecutorial process and what's going to happen now, which my detectives will assist in. I'll turn it over to ADA Joanne Pescator.
Thank you, Captain. Good morning, Joanne Pescator. I'm the Chief of the Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit. I want to reiterate what Captain Kearney just said. Thank you for the public's help, as well as these victims and witnesses for helping in this investigation. A 4-day turnaround to get an arrest warrant is amazing, and I commend the detectives that worked on this case. The defendant in this case, Joel Martinez, has been charged with the following charges: attempted murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, 3 counts of simple assault, conspiracy, violations of the Uniform Firearms Act, 6106, 6108, possessing an instrument of a crime, and 3 counts of recklessly endangering another person. Mr. Martinez is being held on $3 million bail, currently here in Philadelphia. He does have a prior manslaughter conviction in New Jersey that he was on probation for at the time of this incident. I'm sure New Jersey will be dealing with that case, and that's from 2019. I'll now turn it over to Kelly Burkhart, the DAO liaison with the LGBTQ+ community.
Thank you, Joanne. Yes, my name is Kelly Burkhart. My pronouns are she, her, hers. My title is LGBTQ liaison and victim witness coordinator. Reiterating, and more so as someone as a member of the LGBTQIA community, can't thank everyone enough for being active in how this happened. When we heard about it, it was very disturbing, because it's yet one more piece of violence that has happened towards a member of the LGBTQIA community, particularly Black trans women who are generally have generally been targeted. And when we find out about these things, we immediately rush to make sure folks are okay and do that support. And that's exactly what also then happened once I called everyone to let them know about the arrest. The relief in people's relief in people's voices that I hear are showing that the work that we're doing here is we're moving forward. We're breaking down the barriers between the LGBTQIA community and law enforcement. And even though we're one facet of law enforcement, it's really important to have community engagement. That's why our folks are here with us today, as well as the initiatives that we've created in order to help identify a lot of these incidents that are happening towards individuals who are members of the LGBTQIA community. As we created the it's called the LGBTQ arrest identification sheet, and what that does, once again, it just helps us identify if a potential crime has happened to a potential member of the queer and trans and non-binary communities. And with that, that means that we can offer immediate support and get resources and get people out of harm's way. I would just want to wrap this up by, of course, reading the statement by the survivor of the pistol whipping. She seemed to have bear the brunt of this the most, which is pretty disgusting. Someone shoots a gun at someone and then we start pistol whipping them afterwards. It's the amount of violence that us as a community, I think, need to also wrap ourselves around. So this is her statement. I can peacefully now put my head down at night and sleep again. I've had night terrors since it's happened and lots of counseling. And now I feel at peace knowing I will no longer have to walk around looking over my shoulder, wondering if someone is going to cause harm to me. I am thankful by the grace of God. Now I would like to introduce Kendall Stevens, who has been an incredible outspoken advocate and student and member of our LGBTQ Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Kendall Stevens. I am a social worker and executive board member of the William Way LGBT Community Center. I really want to thank the detectives who did so much tremendous work on this case, and it led to an arrest, and someone is in custody and will have to answer for the crimes that were committed against the 3 victims. I also want to say how happy I am the victims survived. Very often, when you are a member of the trans community, LGBT community, you don't survive, these violent instances. So also very happy that they were brave enough to come forward. And this is a trend that I'm seeing moving more towards trusting the criminal justice system in a way that the LGBTQ+ community have not ever done before. We do have an advisory office at the DA's, and this is revolutionary because you have people from the community that are working with the powers that be in the DA's office in tandem towards the same effort, which is trying to make sure that you are affirmed and that you are listened to and validated through the entire experiences of being either a victim or a perpetrator, right? And in this instance, what's so troubling is the level of violence, how extreme that it is. And I want all of us, as we are coming into these warmer months, especially those who have been pushed to the margins, those who are LGBTQ+, to please exercise an abundance of caution as we are traversing the streets. Please create a plan before you pop out, and that is a public outing preparedness plan. And that is something that you can work with Gale, with the William Way LGBT Center, with our office. Create a plan that's individual to you, and what that will look like is creating a buddy system, tapping into all of those support networks, all those resource networks that are at your disposal, so that we are creating community around your safety. And this is an element of self-care, which is community care. You taking care of yourself so that we're taking care of each other. So I want us to create those kind of plans, turning on those locations on phones, sharing those locations with others. We have to communicate with each other. We have to support and help each other. And I want to get a bit of a taste of that brotherly love and sisterly affection that I keep hearing Philadelphia is known for. So let's just please stay vigilant. Again, very, very happy to not only the district attorney's office, but again, the detectives, responding officers who work so tirelessly on this case. Thank you. And again, please reach out to the DA's office if you need any help at all, if you are a victim of a crime and may feel fearful or uncertain if you should come forward. You must come forward. We need to know who you are. This is how you become visible. This is how you speak truth to power. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Asa Khalif. I am an activist and advocate in the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm also a member of the LGBTQ advisory committee here in the district attorney's office. My statement will be short and sweet and direct to the point. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of the public and those community members who had the courage to stand with us in our community and step forward to report the individuals who were responsible for this brutal attack. I also publicly would like to thank the detectives who stood by our community and continued to fight for this case to make sure that justice was served and that the individual responsible was arrested. I would like to thank them also. The coalition that we've built here is so important. It's important for our communities. It's important for the LGBTQIA community. We will not tolerate anyone attacking our community members at all. We've lost too many because of the violence, because of the homophobia, because of the hate. We are not going back into the closet. If you think that you're going to attack us and there will not be some type of consequence with that, legal consequence, you are sadly mistaken. You will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We are not going back into the closet, and if you think for a minute that you're going to allow us to do that, you are wrong. We are here, we are visible. Those days of hiding are over, and they will never come back again. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to open it up for any questions.
Are attacks on the trans community or those in the LGBT community, are they on the rise?
Yeah, I mean, yes, they are. I mean, last year, the FBI's put out, based off of their search, and the most important thing, actually, to note is not a lot of people actually report these crimes. There's people that are getting assaulted or unfortunately sexually assaulted that don't want to come forward because they're afraid of what they might experience. It also may just create personal shame. So we've been, through our hate crime, through the LGBTQ arrest identification sheet, this is how we've been able to start populating data to show that the trends are happening. We started this in 2020, and as we keep increasing, more cases are involving guns, more cases are involving assaults, and these are just the ones that we're being notified of. But the most important thing is that the FBI last year put out that hate crimes are on a rise, and it's around 25% when you combine gender identity based crimes and crimes towards the LGBTQIA community.
Is that specific numbers for Philadelphia?
We can get, that's national.
Is there a similar rise in Philadelphia?
I mean, based off of based off of our sheets, yes, and we can give you that information. Right. That's a good, yes, because right now, a lot of times, we will hear first from community. I'll get a phone call from ASA or from Kendall or some other folks out in the community that are doing the work that'll say, hey, this just happened. And we, work with them to potentially report it, or a lot of times, a few times, some people don't report it. So we actually have been tracking that. When we started this, about, I want to say 48, less than 48%, about 45, 46%, I'm trying to remember the chart, Jane, that was coming through our arrest identification sheet, and now it's higher. It's closer to 50% that is alerting us, as well as community community involvement.
How long has that arrest identification sheet been used?
We started in November of 2020. So that's like a year and a half.
And I think that's important to note when we're talking about underrepresented communities. One of the ways they're underrepresented is in statistical reporting, right? So we never had a way to collect this type of information without first building trust internally that this information won't be used negatively, and also by working with the Community Advisory Committee to find the best ways in which we can not just identify individuals, but resources and needs that individuals may have based off of their interaction with the criminal legal system. And that be true for witness of a crime, the victim of a crime, and in instances, defendants accused of a crime.
Can you discuss, so is this a hate crime classification in this specific case? Can you also tell me a little more about the timeline? It took 4 days for the arrest warrant, but we're 11 months later. Can you fill me in on that?
Sure. I'll address the first part of your question first around the hate crime, and then I'll defer to the captain for a recap of the timeline. In Pennsylvania, the hate crime statute, ethnic intimidation, is very narrow. And in this instance, we don't believe that the evidence would meet the elements of the state crime. However, I believe we are charging under the city ordinance, which is broader and is a summary level offense, in addition to the felony and misdemeanor charges that ADA Pescator described. We're also working with legislators in Harrisburg to expand ethnic intimidation to include other historically discriminated groups like gender identity and things of that nature. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Captain?
The timeline's pretty short, really. Happened on the 12th. Madison, his partner, Harron, got an arrest warrant on the 16th. We executed the arrest warrant. We put it out on social media, and he was aware of the warrant and became a fugitive. So he avoided justice. We routinely work with the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the Attorney General's office to help us capture our fugitives. He avoided arrest for about 6 months. He was arrested in Camden pursuant to our warrant and held over there from December 21st, I believe it was, of 2022. So the extradition process took some time, as it usually does, and we're happy to say that he's in our custody now. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's just across the river. Sometimes other things can hold it up. Sometimes maybe had an adjudication that he needed to take care of over in Camden. It's not uncommon. I mean, obviously, we want to get him over here as fast as we can. In some states, sometimes we say we'll send them back. I don't believe we're charging people here and sending people back to Jersey at this time. It's always changing. It's something we deal with. It's something we're used to, but we have cooperation in this case. We're not going to lose these witnesses. We're going to support them all the way through this whole process, and we're hoping to come out with hold this male Martinez accountable for his actions that night. Anything else?
Someone from the advisory committee speak to some of the challenges that LGBTQ+ communities had engaging with the criminal justice system and provide us mentorship?
That's a good question. So historically, when people who are LGBTQ identified, particularly those who are trans-identified, non-binary, gender non-conforming, they would often be misgendered in reporting. And then also, too, that would happen even in media, right? Because the media is repeating what they're discovering within these police reports. So that's something that's been re-traumatizing for many of us, which has played a part, right, in us having some hesitancy around reporting, right? There's also been, also some violence directed towards members of our community by law enforcement in the past, right? So these are real issues that have occurred, even my own situation, you know, the responding officers, when I was a victim of a hate crime, they did not protect and serve me. They did not do right by me. However, the detectives that worked on my case treated me with fairness, and they took very good care of me. And afterwards, my interactions with law enforcement have been nothing but positive. So you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. So we want to tell people that sometimes you might not always get the LGBTQ-friendly officer, but we're trying. Things have improved dramatically. And we have to continue to work together as a community with law enforcement, with the criminal justice system, so that we can right some of these wrongs, right? And we're working from the outside and the inside, imploding systemic oppression inside, by working, right, and creating best practices, and also, too, creating a culture that's more affirming for LGBTQ+ identified individuals, and also from outside as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
And just to be clear, the defendant has been in custody since a few days before Christmas?
Yes.
Right. So even though we were waiting for the extradition and the arrest in Philadelphia didn't occur until this week, he has been in custody since he was picked up on the arrest warrant issued by Philadelphia Police Department. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Lee, can you explain or tell us where the DA is today?
He's unavailable today.
You know why?
No.
Okay, then this arrest should be applauded greatly by everybody. I mean, closer to home, when you have an allegation of sex discrimination or domestic violence within the DA office, that's the chief of staff. What is the policy? Do you report this to the city as required by the mayor's executive order on sexual harassment? Do you do that?
I believe this question was answered already earlier this week, and it's very off-topic for today's press conference. So if there's any more questions about this arrest, I'd like to thank everyone for their time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
So do you cover up